This is Vegas All Net Radio, the final frontier of free speech. Knowledge is power, and this is powerful stuff. Wellness Education Cannabis Advocates of Nevada present the We Can 702 Nevada Cannabis News Hour with the We Can radio team. For the next 60 minutes, we'll take an in-depth look at the cannabis reform revolution sweeping the nation. Now, let's fire up the news hour. Here is the We Can radio team.
Hey, welcome to the Nevada Cannabis News Hour. I'm Kurt, and my co-host here, Perry. Jennifer is not in today, and Jason is on his honeymoon in Costa Rica. So, yeah, congratulations.
Mr. and Mrs. Sturtzman.
Yeah, it was. We did their wedding Saturday. It was a beautiful wedding. And
Sunset Gardens over in
Sunset
Henderson.
Gardens,
Fantastic
yes.
venue.
Yep.
Great time. Good people. Good vibes all around.
Yeah, and it was really
sure.
good to see Jason that happy. So, I mean, he's always happy, but
Yeah, yeah. He had that permanent. I mean, obviously, it's the happiest day of his life, and it really showed. You know, the family was great. Just wonderful ceremony to be a part of. I was happy to be a part of it, and thank you again for the invite.
No, and we hope you're having a good time in Costa Rica. I'm sure you are, and your dog is fine.
This crazy dog.
Yeah. So we got some news happening here in Las Vegas. What we have coming up right now, we have the tomorrow we have the Nevada Cannabis Advocate Summit, which is being hosted by We Can. This is a chance for everybody out there who has a problem with the current marijuana laws to get out and have your voice heard. And we got a year and a half to work on this one, so we want everyone to be involved, and we want to hear what everyone has to say, and we want to change these laws so that they work for all of us. So
yeah, we just want to do what's best for ourselves and our communities as we see fit, one day at a time. And this is the first step in that process, the legislative process. It's like on our flyer, be the change you want to see in the world. So saith Gandhi, and we need to all come together and get on the same page before we run into what we ran into last session.
Yeah, exactly. So we have lobbyists on staff ready to go. So basically, we want to work this out. And when we go up in the legislature in 2017, have all of the language in hand, have it ready to go, so that it's real easy for them to change these laws. So tonight, now I got to preface this with this: We Can is a federal 501c3. We don't hold to any party. We work with anybody in this organization who is working to positively change marijuana laws. So tonight, if you're interested, there is a libertarian dinner. It's the first Tuesday. They hold it every Tuesday, and tonight is from 6 to 9 at Jalisco's Cantina on East Sunset. There's free food and drink specials. So if you're interested in the Libertarian Party and seeing their stance on cannabis, you feel free to go down there and check that out. Also, this Friday, we'll be out at First Friday again at the Arts Factory. So look for us at the Arts Factory there. We're
same time, same place.
Yep. We have, our great projects. Come get your smoky socks and your dope soap. And then this Saturday is Terp Wars, which if you listened to our show last week, you know a little more about that. They just secured a insane venue. It's a beautiful mansion. So if you're interested, Saturday, December 5th from 2 to 10 p.m., Terp Wars. To get your tickets and more information, you need to go to www.terpwars.com.
terpwars.com.
That's right. And look for the We Can booth there. We've teamed up with Nature's Kindest, and we're going to be having a booth there and some entries in the Terp Wars. So
it'll be a blast for sure. If you're not doing anything this weekend, I would highly encourage you to make your way down there and go see it.
Yeah. So in our studio today, we have our guest, Jillian from Evergreen Organics. She's the operations manager down there. Welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for being here.
So there was a story...
Right here, buddy.
Oh, there was a story in the paper a couple weeks ago in the Review Journal by Eric Hartley, and title of the story is Cleanliness and Security Are Top Notch at Pot Grow Production Facilities Near the Strip. So, and this is kind of about Evergreen Organics. So, Eric wrote, walking into Evergreen Organics' 33,000 square foot warehouse just west of the Strip feels something like out of a sci-fi movie. In a small entry room bordered by security doors, you're asked to take off your shoes and slip into gleaming white Crocs.
And black scrubs, and like it goes into pretty serious detail in the article about the cleanliness, the procedures. It says your grow room or your flowering room is over 9,000 square feet. You can hold damn near 1,000 plants in your flowering room. Is this correct?
Actually, yeah, in our largest flowering room. But however, our plants that we can fit in the facility in its entirety, we can fit about 1,936 in flowering only. So that doesn't actually account for any of our flowers or any of our plants in propagation or vegetation stages.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And judging by your name, you're growing in organic style. I know we can't say that it's organic in cannabis. We can green certify it and that, but we can't use the word actually organic. So you use all organic procedures?
Yeah, essentially, yes. So we are doing our best to eliminate the need of pesticides, fungicides, or any additional chemicals we have to put externally on our plants in order to rid them of microcontaminants. So our philosophy was, if we can go ahead and have a zero air exchange facility, if we can, require everybody to scrub in and change into clean room garments, then we can reduce any potential microcontaminant exposure from the get-go. So we don't want to have to put those chemicals on our plants, so our procedures will hopefully eliminate any need for that in its entirety.
Yeah, I'm seeing here in the article that it says that all employees will have to step into a locker room, take a shower, and put on black scrubs. So it's to the point where, even if you showered right before you came into work, you got to come in and take another one?
Yes, that is true. So, just walking around outside, you can't see it, but there are, mold particles, mildew, pests, things that, the human eye can't detect. And so our policy requires that everybody shower in, and so we're ridding them of anything that they could transfer onto the plants from the outside world.
Yeah,
so.
I kind of do the same at my house. I tend to work in my room after a shower. Because even just walking out front, you brush up against the bushes. Who knows what you picked up on, how many mites were there or whatever, and then you walk that right into your room, and and then they're like, "Hey, check out this smorgasbord."
Yes.
Has the theory been working so far? Have you guys had any problems? Things are running smoothly? Life is good?
Yes, so far so good. We are only a month into operations. We officially got our license for our cultivation operation as of November 3rd of this year. So in the past 30 days, fortunately, no, we have not had any issues. And we're hoping that it continues that way. So we do require everybody to change into scrubs. And as you guys mentioned, we do require them to wear Crocs as well. Crocs were a choice not only because of the high fashion statement, but because they're easy to clean. So
what about the employees? Do you get any backlash or any kind of resistance? Like, hey, this is ridiculous or anything like that? Like, everyone's pretty cool about it, or?
Yeah, no, everybody is really open to the idea. So we, in our interview process, we asked everybody, we told them what our procedures were, and we told them that, you're going to have to stay inside of the building for your entire shift. You're going to have to shower in, and everybody was very open to that idea, and they really believe in our principles. And that was a big thing for us, is we wanted to find a group of people that we could make a team with that shared our values and wanted to continue on with what our legacy is.
For sure. What's next for Evergreen Organics? You guys are ready to roll? What happens now? Are you guys going to expand into making your own edibles or things like that? Or
Yep. So officially, as of today, I actually received from FedEx. The state sent our production operation license. So we're hoping to get that up and going as soon as possible. So yeah, we're really excited. So
it states in the article that you spent almost $9 million constructing the facility. Does that include the bakery and manufacturing facility also, or is that solely the cultivation that cost that much?
So that was the cost of the entire building itself. So we have both of our entities in one building, and so we were able to condense all of our startup expenses into one lump sum. And so that out of that 33,000 square feet, about 2,500 of that is strictly for our production center.
Okay.
So yeah, the $9 million does include cultivation startup from, walls to finishings to even our hydroponic grow room equipment to even the cutting boards in our kitchen. So
okay.
Then they made you put your grease traps in and everything?
Oh yeah, all sorts of fun there.
Grease traps.
Yeah, that was one of the things that held up a lot of the production facilities. A lot of the production facilities weren't even going to do edibles. They were going to strictly bring in CO2 extraction machines,
make wax,
and do
yeah, sure,
and shatters and that kind of stuff. And they started building out and everything, and then the county came around and the city came around and said, hey, where's your grease traps? Because if you're a production facility, you have to have a grease trap. And that set a lot of people back quite a bit. They just didn't plan for it. And next thing you know, it's like, if you want to open, you got to do it. So
there was a similar story when the company who manages the SLS now came in and remodeled. They wanted to remodel one room, and the county code said if you remodel this, like the walls are touching this other room, so you have to do this. And it became this outrageous amount of work that they had to do and had to remodel all this stuff. And it just became more, if they would have just read the code just a little bit closer before they went into that project, you know what I mean? But it's all how they interpret the language, how they choose to interpret the language, It is what it is.
Yeah, and
jumping through them hoops of fire.
It depends on who you have as your inspector also. Because
no
one
kidding.
inspector to the next is another thing. I was talking to teams that had problems where they were working with an inspector and everything was going along fine, and they made all the changes the inspector wanted. The next thing you know, they got another inspector.
Oh yeah, that happened to us.
And this guy says, nope, that's not good enough. I got to do this, got to do that. And it's like you got to change everything around again. And they had to go draw new blueprints and redo everything. And
in a former life, I used to level foundations for houses and stuff up in Mount Charleston. And we used to run into trouble with that from the inspectors coming up there. And like you said, one of them was my boss's buddy, and we always passed. And then when it wasn't, it was the other guy. We had problems. So I'm sorry to hear that you guys have been going through that level of frustration. I'm sure that can be echoed by many other business entities here in town.
Oh yeah, we started this whole process back in like March of 2014, and that was with like the applications to the county and the applications to the state, and then actually like getting our provisional licenses, and then from there we went into plan check, and construction of our facility actually started in February of this year. So almost a year after this idea was born, did we actually get to break ground on it. So.
They're turning us all into regulatory and legislative experts with all this, for sure, whether we want to be or not.
Yeah, and as I say, this is not just a problem that you guys ran into. It's across the board. I've seen it in every facility. Some of them are starting to open now, which is very good, and a few of them are still way behind due to all the regulatory stuff and all the changes, and the fact that the city, the county, the state really kind of dragged their feet for about a year there and kind of left everyone sitting there going, what do we do? And we're very happy now. The dispensaries are starting to open. The grows are starting to come online. I believe right now there's only 3 grows servicing all of Southern Nevada at this point. There's, I think, Advanced, Green Life Products, and then Nevada Pure that just opened. So I think those are the only 3 down here in Southern Nevada.
Yeah, congratulations to them too.
Yeah. Northern Nevada, there's a couple of them up there. It seems like in Northern Nevada, we thought they would be behind us, but they really made things a little easier, and they took a jump on us down here in Las Vegas because their city and the county.
First dispensary, first grow, first production.
Yeah, they said we're not going to mess around with you
all
guys.
All Sparks, right? All of them.
Sparks and Reno. So,
what? Sorry, back up. Do you plan on carrying any signature strains, or do you have any signature strains that you're like, look, like this is we're going to kill it with this one? We have these. I'm sure you do, but can you tell us a little bit about them?
So I mean, we have a bank of about 30 strains that we're trying to get going right now, but a couple of them are proprietary strictly to us. So one of our big ones right now that we're hoping for is Hacienda Haze. So that one is exclusive with us, and then we also have another one called Ego OG. Ego is actually our acronym, so Evergreen Organics. If you kind of
that's clever.
Look into that,
yeah.
You get Ego. So that's kind of been a big thing for our branding.
With that Haze brand, I was just talking to Kurt about this recently.
We're just talking about the hazes.
I've always wanted to see a resurgence of like amnesia hazes and things like that come back into the American market, but it seems like the market is so overly dominated by the high THC OG strains that take so much less time to flower. Are your growers concerned with the length of time that it's going to take to grow these haze strains, that you're going to lose on valuable crop time where you could have been growing other stuff?
I'm sure that definitely has crossed their mind, but we have a very awesome team together, and they know what they're doing. And so when they say that they're wanting to do something, I don't hesitate in supporting them 100%. Okay. So.
Well, I appreciate that. I would love to see some good sativa haze strains around. Just put the work in, put the time in. It means a lot. So.
And I would assume with a larger facility, that's a much easier thing to do.
Of course.
I mean, I was just discussing right now with my personal small grow, which is only 100 square feet, and I've got to make a decision right now which plants I want to keep and which plants I don't, and I'm kind of at that same thing. I've got the classic Blue Dream, but that's 70 days in flower. When I've got these other ones that are 56 days, and when you're growing, basically 4 plants at a time in flower for yourself, personal use, that 2 weeks can 2 to 3 weeks extra can really put a crimp in your medicine.
It's 2 to 3 weeks added up over a series of crops over a year. You could have 2 or 3 whole cycles after you're all said and done, which is the difference between maybe having enough medicine to make it through or having to go to the dispensary and buy additional supply. So, there you have it.
Yeah. It also comes down to the fact is, you got to weigh the fact, is this medicine worth that extra time? If it works really good for me, yeah, I'll put the extra time in on it.
But it's usually not about that. It's about profit margins. Can I sell this product for more than this other product? And if it takes 30-40% longer and you can't get that much markup, most growers will just put the nix on it, I mean, in Southern California, it's quite evident. All the OG. I mean, I could go round and round on this forever, but we basically covered it. So
yeah, I've never worried about the profit margin. I've always just worried about having enough medicine to get me through the next cycle of plants, and how long is that cycle going to be? So, with a larger scale operation, you have the room to have extra rooms and different strains. And, if it takes an extra week or two, it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Yeah, we actually have a specific room in our facility. It's our smallest flowering room, so it holds about 60 plants, but we've reserved that for research and development. So we can, play around with new strains, kind of, go into some genetic breeding, things like that. So kind of see what we can bring to the market. So.
That's excellent. Yeah, like the corn farmers. Got to breed them up.
So, and it also says in the article here that you're looking to produce, could produce 100 pounds of marijuana a month once it's in full swing.
Yeah, so that's what we're hoping. Fingers crossed. We haven't had our first harvest quite yet, but right now we're set to go probably at the very beginning of January was when our first harvest is going to be. So. What
about retail? Did you guys apply for a retail license? Did you
dispensary?
Yeah,
we did, but it didn't go through. So but I think actually it worked out better for us. Like it's kind of been a little bit more fun on the production and the cultivation side of everything, and we can actually reach out to a more diverse patient group or a patient demographic because we can sell our products to whatever dispensary would like to host them. So.
What about recreational? Does your team plan on applying for a retail license once recreational cannabis comes online? Has that been discussed, or are you just trying to get yourself off the ground right now and kind of cross that bridge when you get to it?
Let's get this going first. But recreational has always kind of been in the back of our heads. But and, if the opportunity presents itself, that would be great. But right now we're really focusing on patient needs and catering to the patient community.
Well, I guess a better question would be when May rolls back around and they start either nixing people's the licenses that aren't being used and they start to nix them. Have you explored the possibility of going for a dispensary at that time, or you're not worried about it, or they're not talking about it?
I got a lot of other things on my plate right now with our operation, but I mean that would be great. That would be really ideal. So we'll just have to see what happens when May comes.
Yeah, and I don't think that we'll see a lot of dispensary licenses get next because on the terms of all three MMEs, dispensary is the cheapest and easiest to open. I mean, you don't need near as much as you do for cultivation and production is when it comes to terms of equipment. Staffing, you're going to have the same security, but it's one of the easiest there are to open. And those who got the dispensary license, they're probably at least going to open their dispensaries. It was the what do we call it? The approve-a-thon and the free-for-all of all the cultivations and all the productions. They handed it out to anybody who had the money and said, I want a license.
Or people who didn't even have the money who just said they had the money.
Well, they had to have the application money to get into that. But a lot of those licenses, I feel, are going nowhere. I've talked to a lot of them, and there's a lot of people looking to sell them and stuff like that.
Well, the startup cost is huge. I mean, even with our facility, like $9 million, we were not anticipating it to be that. And then, just cost kept accumulating, and we really wanted to get this going. So fortunately, we had a very solid funding team behind us that really believed in what we could do.
I was just going to say, I'm like, that sounds, that's a lot of money. Did you guys have to seek additional partners, additional funding, or were you able to keep the core team together?
We were able to keep the core team together, fortunately.
That's very fortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of teams out there that had some problems in that, and
big problems.
Yeah, and there's still investors coming in trying to buy them up, and I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking if they can buy it and put a whole business plan and everything together in 5 months and have it show that you're actually making progress. That seems a stretch to me. But
good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck.
So you don't have any contracts right now with any of the dispensaries? You have anybody that you feel pretty confident that their stuff's going to be in, that they can go look for Evergreen Organic stuff in the next month? Or
we don't have any written contracts with any dispensaries quite yet, but we have been in touch with a lot of them, and a lot of people are very eager to get our products, and so we're just hoping for that January harvest, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Cool.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's about time for our first break, isn't it?
It is
All
about
right.
time.
All
3:20.
right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with some local news and be back with Miss Jillian from Evergreen Organics.
Now, here again, the Weekend Radio Team.
Welcome back to Nevada Cannabis News Hour. I am Kurt, and my co-host here, Perry, and we're on Vegas All Net Radio.
Sorry about that, folks.
Little
We'll get it
stumbling
together,
here.
promise.
I didn't medicate before the show, so I'm a little off. So I apologize for that. Sometimes that makes me a little smoother when I'm feeling a little bit better. So
We're just roll into some local and regional news.
absolutely.
All right. What do you got for us?
Well, I got some story out of Washington D.C. Marijuana arrests in Washington D.C. are almost non-existent in 2015.
Well, that should have been predicted with the advent or the recreational legalization. Now, I would hope that in such a small municipality they'd be willing to, pump the brakes on that kind of stuff, because apparently there were serious problems with the number of arrests, kind of overcrowding the jail system. I mean, it's a tale as old as time with our cannabis community. I mean, we tell this story often, you're filling the jails and it's costing us money and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, they had 3,000 arrests a couple years ago. Now they're down to less than a dozen.
In 2010, they had 2,161 marijuana arrests. In 2015, as of November 6th, 7.
Wonder what the 7 were for.
Well,
Does it specify? Were they for possession? Were they for, were they selling dope on the street in front of the Capitol building in the National Mall or something? Like, what the hell were these guys doing?
It doesn't say what they
break it
were,
down.
but I would assume that it would have to be probably for sales or something like that is what they get you for. I mean, because even though it's legal to possess it, it's still illegal to sell it.
You can give it away, but you can't sell it.
Exactly. So, but yeah, last week on November 4th, the district marked the first anniversary of passage of Initiative 71, a ballot measure that effectively legalized weed, at least in the form of possessing, growing, and using, but not selling. So, yeah, that's
Baby steps.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's kind of what we have here when it comes to medical.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've seen it before. Same stuff.
Same stuff. So.
I got a story out of Montana that I really like. I feel bad because the last time I was selected for jury duty, I threw it in the trash and blew it off and kind of laughed about it a little bit. And I saw a comedian, Doug Stanhope, was giving a little speech about jury nullification and why everyone should take jury duty. It's the ability to impact the judicial system on an individual level and basically circumvent all of the rules of court and have your own decision hold sway over that entire process. And basically what it is, it's about if you feel like the person, even though if they're dead to rights guilty, doesn't deserve to go to jail, you can hang the jury if you choose to. I mean, they encourage you not to, of course, and you won't hear about it in your jury instructions, but it is a legal procedure called jury nullification. And there's an article here from Montana that talks about that, where there was a marijuana possession case that had to be tossed out because so many potential juror members stated in advance that they would never support convicting someone of personal marijuana possession. So they decided to just drop the charges right there in the case. So that was, I've never heard of a district attorney dropping charges because of something like that, but it really shows the power of the individual and the ability to make a change. People say, what can one man do? One man can do a lot, or one woman can do a lot, depending on what the situation, how blessed you are with circumstance, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big one. I just recently served on jury duty, and I tried to get out of it by continually going up there and asking them about jury nullification, and they kept telling me to sit down and shut up.
They don't care.
No, they don't. And we're seeing it. I believe we did a story last week out of Colorado, the same thing, where they were throwing a bunch of cases out due to jury nullification for patients.
They just won't convict. The juries won't convict.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same way I am now. I feel here with us with some of the laws we have that we're working on getting changed, like the concentrate law.
What about that one guy who had the grow, and he had that amendment for the number of the plant waiver,
Yeah.
and the jury, I think he got acquitted, didn't he? Or did they toss the case out or something?
The jury acquitted him and said that they didn't see him doing anything wrong, even though he had like
20 pounds.
Yeah, like 20 pounds, and some of it was old and moldy and seedy. The guy didn't know how to grow. He was trying to grow himself. Didn't know how to cure. They didn't have him for selling. They just had him for using. He had a waiver for the amount, and basically the jury, here in Las Vegas, heard the whole case and said, this guy's got every legal right to do this. He's got a medical marijuana card. He's got a doctor's recommendation. His doctor says he needs more quantity than the standard quantity. So he had the waiver.
Sure.
And so the jury looked at it and said, hey, we don't see that he's doing anything wrong. He was given these rights and he was within his rights, and they threw it out of court.
I guess that's kind of trickle up policy, isn't it? Usually it trickles down from the DA down to the peons here. But like if the juries won't convict and the cops won't arrest and the DAs won't prosecute, it's kind of it's just cycle. I don't know.
And it started out here in about 2010 with all the sweeps and the raids back in 2010 when we had all the dispensaries.
Yeah, I worked at one of those shops.
Jolly Green
volunteered.
And all the others that got caught up in the raids. A lot of those cases ended up being thrown out.
Sure.
And,
well, the ones that stuck through, most of them just rolled over and took the deals, though, and so that's how they had that precedent, I suppose, to continue to prosecute. And then the ones who stood and fought, I think it was Nate from Sin City, I think, was the first one, but he ended up taking his own life because they were pursuing a life sentence on him. So he decided to take his own life facing the charges, and that was very disappointing. I still remember that, I don't know why that came to mind just now.
It is a lot of stress, and as I say, like I was saying, I'm like with the concentrates and making butters and oils. That's what I use for medicine, and they can pass all the laws they want then say that I'm not supposed to make my own butter. I'm sorry, but
or your own RSO.
I'm going to do it because that's the medicine that works for me. And to tell you the truth, right now, what I need for medicine isn't even available in the dispensary yet. And I shouldn't have to wait, and it's safe. I mean, I'm all for laws that protect people, and I can see these laws for extracts using volatile or flammable things like blasting butane in your garage. I mean, not a good idea. Not a good idea. You blow yourself up, blow your neighbors up. Me putting a little bit of cannabis and butter and then straining out the cannabis, it's perfectly safe. Perfectly safe. I mean, it's as safe as making soup.
Well, that reverts to another question I have for Miss Jillian here. Have your growers or managers, have you talked about doing any kind of RSO, Rick Simpson oil or Phoenix Tears or anything like that and releasing that? Has that been discussed?
Yeah, so we are planning on doing a concentrates line. So what we're doing is carbon dioxide critical extraction, and then our first release is going to be a kind of a little bit more classic. So back to the whole butter. I know a lot of people aren't really looking for that can of taste in their products, but we're thinking that our classics line will be kind of a nice, reflection upon how it's been done for a while by a lot of patients. So we're going to be infusing butter, but when our CO2 machine comes in, we're excited to start, doing extractions as well.
Absolutely.
So.
We'll be looking forward to looking for it.
Are you just going to sell edibles, or are you going to sell butters and coconut oil so people can go home and make their own edibles?
We actually, that is a very good idea. So right now we were just going to be making butter and infusing it into our own products. But I mean, if people would be interested in it, that's definitely something to consider. So,
well, you heard it here first, folks. If the patients want it, they need to make it heard. Let the demand be known.
Yeah, no, we're all about catering to the community on this. So
yeah, and that's a definite also. If there's a strain that you specifically need as a patient, or some specific type of medicine, it's kind of your responsibility as a patient to let that be known. Go into the dispensaries, call the dispensary, say, hey, listen, I'm looking for this. Let them know.
That's the only way they'll
let them
ever
know you
know.
want that, and then they'll start to carry it. Otherwise, there's so many different strains out there, and everything works different for everybody. And if there's a specific strain that you need, let us know. Yep. Let everyone know. Call the dispensary. Say, I'm looking for this strain.
Ask and you shall receive.
Yeah, and and then if they don't have it, they'll go looking around to all the different growers and say, hey, listen, we're looking for this strain. One of these growers might hear it enough times and say, all right, let's grow this strain. We got enough people saying we want it.
Well, we're actually open for comments directly from the community. We actually have an email. It's info@evergreenorganics.com. And, we do get comments from the community, and we love the feedback, and we like to see what people have to say. So.
And if you're looking for their stuff, it's Evergreen Organics with an X, Organiix, Organics. So that's their website, evergreenorganics.com. And I was just looking at your site. You got a product menu, different strain profiles on there.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Well,
first harvest is in January, so we're going to be giving a little bit more information out at that time. So
Okay, yeah, so you can look on their strain profiles and their product menu once they get open, see what they carry. And as I say, there's a contact button there. If you're looking for something different, contact them. Let them know. You know, I mean, we're all in this for the patients. I mean, there's money to be made in this, but when it comes down to it, 95% of the people that I've met in this industry are truly in it for the right reasons and in it for the patients. Yes, we all want to make money. We all
Just look at the demographics of who's getting the cards.
Exactly.
You know, it's as simple as that. It's not like California.
Yeah. So I mean, and
I don't want to even throw them under the bus like that either. I'm sure there's millions of legitimate patients in California that are seeking and finding relief. So, you know, it's very arrogant of me to say such a thing.
Everyone
so.
who uses it is a patient.
Of course.
Opinion.
Yeah. Well, you've been a big believer in that for a long time.
Years.
Yeah. You've always believed that all cannabis use is medicinal.
It is.
And, you know, I've kind of hopped on that bandwagon myself.
Yeah. No matter what, if you're using it, you're getting the medicinal benefits from it. Plain and simple. I mean, it's giving you the medicinal benefits if you're using it for that purpose or not. And if you're using it for not, and you're just using it to escape your stresses of everyday life or whatever reason, a lot of people call recreational, that's medicine. It's making you feel good. It's letting you get on with life, letting you do the things that you want to do. That's medicine, regardless of how you look at it. First step to healthiness is happiness.
Absolutely.
very true.
So,
I was trolling on Facebook the other day, and some guy was commenting about how he doesn't want phony cannabis patients chonging it up around town, as he put it. Chonging it, and I'm just like, dude, this is too good. So, and I'm just talking to him, and I'm just like, look, you know, regardless of how you feel about that, if these people are willing to jump through these hoops, let's just say it's completely, you know, fraudulent, person's completely healthy, wants a medical marijuana card. If these people jump through all those hoops of fire and pay all those fees and go through it and get the medical card in order to seek protection under the state law so that they don't feel like a criminal, I don't see anything wrong with that. You know, try to protect themselves until the laws change to where their community, where the laws catch up with their lifestyle, I suppose.
No, and then last I checked, you don't have to go through all of that and get a license to go buy alcohol. You just got to be 21. Simple as that. Here you go. You're 21. Yeah, we'll give it to you. We don't care what your mental state is or how you are or anything like that. You just walk down to the store and buy it. You know, and here, if you want to use this as medicine, you have to like go into your doctor. You know, go through all of that, pay all that money.
They used to make us get the damn fingerprint background to the whole
fingerprinting.
thing.
Yeah.
Used to run us right through the hoops.
Yeah, I can. To the fingerprinting thing, I'm glad they did away with that. I was part of a couple of applications, and I went through all the FBI background checks. I've fingerprinted so many times in the last 2 years and background checked. I'm like, okay, what do you think you're going to find after 2 years? There's been nothing. So it's you know, it's kind of ridiculous what they made us jump through. I'm actually quite surprised. The pricing that I've been seeing at the dispensaries coming out is very in line for what
They're trying
for what it is. I mean, it's there was
it's gonna be tough at first. You know, they got to recoup some of that money, but I would assume as things start to level out, the prices will continue to drop. I would hope
they do. I mean, but like just last week, Las Vegas Relief was doing $35 ace with no limit. I mean, that comes out to what, $280 an ounce
for top shelf stuff.
I know people are out there saying, yeah, I can get it on the street for $200 an ounce, but you go out on the street, you got a choice of two or three medicines. It's not tested. You don't know what you're getting. You might be smoking mold. You might be smoking bugs, mycotoxins. We don't know. Whereas you get this from the dispensary, you're getting true quality tested medicine, something safe, you know. And then if that medicine doesn't work for you, you know what the THC and CBD levels are, and you can adjust and move to another medicine and find the levels that work for you. And that's what this is all about, you know. And another thing I like to say is, finding the right medicine is some of the fun. You know, it's like, okay, this medicine didn't work, but it was still
That's
fun.
good enough to go on a T-shirt. I like that.
You know, and that's part of what we do at, you know, some of our patient-only parties is we don't allow buying, we don't allow selling, but we encourage sharing, and we do it on private property so patients can openly medicate and find a medicine that works for them without having to go buy a bunch of $35 ace and this one didn't work that well, this one didn't work that well, you know. So that's one of the things that we've been doing for a long time.
Absolutely, free exchange.
So yep, we on a note of those parties, we're probably gonna cut back for the next couple of months because it's just so cold out there. And as patients, for us to go sit out in that cold weather, it makes us a little bit sore and to do all the setup and breakdown. So we're probably going to wait until January, February till we have our next one.
What about holidays?
Holidays, we might do if we can find a location that has some indoor areas.
Yeah,
we're still working on that.
Exactly, because we don't want to do it at the garden house. It's a little, like you said, it's a little chilly.
It's mainly outdoors, and it's just too cold. I think this,
to be determined. We're working on it,
Thanksgiving, we went through like 10 bushels of wood, and that was only for a few hours. So
I remember there was an old saying when I lived in Alaska. We used to have a saying: if you're gathering wood for the night and you think you have enough, get 3 times as much, and you're probably in good shape. I don't know why that came to mind just now, but sorry. Anyway, I'm going to kind of jump into a little bit more news. I kind of want to jump back to what you were talking about earlier. You had a story about Washington, D.C. and how few arrests are being made now that the laws have changed. There is a similar story I should have jumped on earlier. It's about New York City. Marijuana arrests in New York are down 40% compared to last year. In 2014, apparently, New York City gave their officers the discretion to issue people caught with less than 25 grams, which is roughly an ounce. You can give them a ticket or a summons to appear, I guess they call it, rather than actually physically arresting them. And they still have the option to arrest you if it's like 25 individual grams of weed bagged or something like that, or you have an outstanding warrant, they'll take you in. But apparently 18,120 stoners have been arrested through October 20th, which is a 40% plummet from the nearly 30,000, 29,906 pot busts in the same period of last year. Just like I said, baby steps. I could go into it all day long and rehash all the same stuff.
Michigan doesn't have a medical marijuana program, do they?
Sure they do.
They do, but they don't have recreational.
Yeah, they have medical. I have a friend who lives in Lansing who says that they're very quietly popping up all over the place. All over town. Detroit, Lansing, all the major towns. Just and you don't really hear about it. I don't think they don't want to put it out there too much. They're just like, if you know, yeah. And I don't want to say it's like California, but from what I've heard, it's very, very easy to open a medical dispensary in some of these smaller towns out there now. Just kind of walk in and apply for a business license and go for it.
Yeah. I got a story out of Oregon, and this one here kind of is near and dear to my heart too, because we kind of had the exact same thing happen to us here with WeCan a couple of years ago back. But in Oregon, a state agency refuses to accept Thanksgiving Day baskets from the cannabis industry.
Oh yeah, this is horrible.
Yeah, it's disgusting. A group of Oregon businesswomen recently attempted to give back to their community by donating a number of Thanksgiving baskets to families in need. However, a state agency quickly rejected the group's goodwill because it was associated with the cannabis industry.
Shame on you.
Wow.
Exactly. I mean, it's gross. I mean, we ran into the same thing here back our very first Halloween party. We did a food drive, and we raised probably about 8 or 9 totes of non-perishable food items. We took them down to the Las Vegas shelter, and since we're a federal nonprofit, we asked for our tax receipt.
Of course.
To show that we're giving back into the community and stuff like that. And when we gave them our company name, they refused our donation.
That's so sad.
Exact same thing. It's like we're trying to help the community, trying to do good, and that's what most people in this industry, the cannabis,
it's so disappointing.
People I've ever worked with in this industry. They all are in it for the right reason. They all have not all, but most of them have good hearts, and they're in it for the right reasons. There are a few scumbags out there in the industry, but
point to that in the industry.
But most of the people in this industry are in it because they have a family member or themselves or somebody else who this medicine helped, and they're really good people. And like with us and these people, they're trying to give back into the community. It's not all
no
about
good deed
how
goes
much
unpunished.
money can we make for ourselves. It's like, what can we do good? And for you to do something, and for the state or the city to say, oh, because you're a cannabis industry, in the cannabis industry, we can't accept your goodwill.
Well, I feel like a lot of these charities that we're donating to or attempting to donate to have religious overtones with the organizational structure, and unfortunately, it seems like there's a lot of pushback from organized Christian religion about the cannabis community, the medical cannabis, and I think that's really disappointing. I could point to a lot of biblical references and this and that, but it's not about that. It's just about what I perceive as doing God's work. I'm not a Christian or anything like that, but if anyone's doing God's work, it's helping sick people be well, and I don't really understand how this gets into these people's minds that they're going to reject this charity work from these cannabis organizations as they're also seeking to do good work for, we're all trying to help people. I don't understand why we have to be over here and they have to be over here.
Yeah, food is food. Who cares who's giving it to you?
Yeah, we're not putting dope in the garbanzo beans. What the hell's wrong with people?
It's canned food and box food right from the grocery store. It's all sealed. It's safety packaged. It's just one organization.
And even if we were giving edibles away, for Christ's sake, could they not find a patient in need to give them to? Let's just be real about that.
We have plenty of patients in need that we can give it
absolutely.
to. I get calls every day. I get contacted on our website every day with patients that are in need and truly sick people. A lot of them can't work because of their conditions. A lot of them veterans who are unable to work because of their service or their condition. And
speaking of not being able to work, don't you have a story about that? About unemployment benefits and stuff like something about being fired from being able to work, but I forgot exactly how it was worded, but it sounded ridiculous.
Yeah, it was in Michigan, and a Michigan court just recently ruled that medical marijuana patients are eligible for unemployment benefits. It says using medical marijuana in the state of Michigan may cost you your job, but it won't cost you your unemployment benefits.
Let me just go on the record and say that I'm all for the state of Michigan giving unemployment benefits to cannabis patients. I'm all for that. I just think that the way the article is crafted alludes to the fact that, like you said, you can be fired in the state of Michigan for smoking grass, which is completely legal under state law, but yet then you can receive unemployment benefits from the same state.
Yep.
How are you going to clear that one up?
Well, it says the decision keeps in place a 2014 appellate court ruling determining that qualified medical patients cannot be denied unemployment benefits simply for failing a workplace drug test, as long as there is no evidence to suggest that the positive drug tests were caused by anything other than the claimant's use of medical marijuana in accordance with the terms of the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act. The denial of benefits constitute an improper penalty, is what the court opinion.
Sure, I'm good with that. It's just
it's just kind of funny though that hey, I'm a medical marijuana patient and my job decides to randomly drug test me, or say something happens at work, I get hurt or something, and I have to go in for a drug test. I'm not under the influence at the time, but being a medical cannabis patient and using on a regular basis, we all know that this cannabis stores in our fat cells. It doesn't go away. It takes sometimes up to 2-3 months, depending on the amount you use and how often you use it, for it to work its way out of your system. So I could have used 3 days ago and not even used at all and not be affected at work, but I can be fired for that. But then I can go turn around and collect unemployment. I mean, what is this really doing for the state and the federal government? Putting people out of work and putting them onto the government systems? I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
But that's what we were trying to avoid.
Yeah. Don't we want people to work if they can work? I mean,
marijuana in the okay.
And there's an interesting. It says, under newly proposed state rules, injured workers may be eligible to receive compensation for up to 2 pounds of medical cannabis over a 1-year period due to their work injury.
You see, someone had an idea a few years ago during session that we were going to introduce a bill to force insurance companies to pay for medical cannabis, but then we got backlash because the insurance company said, well, we'll just jack the rates up for all the other Nevada patients and we'll throw you guys right under the bus for it. And that was the end of that right there. So,
and a lot of these laws and that, these are the rules, the things that we're going to be talking about tomorrow night at the summit. Mm-hmm. What are your primary concerns as a patient? What laws do you feel need to be changed? We all as patients, we hear number one. We already know our number one concern for the legislative term
right to grow
is to maintain our right to grow as a patient. And I'm sure you guys aren't afraid of the patients growing their own, and
not at all. If somebody wants to create their own medicine, I am all for that.
Exactly. And number two, my personal number two would be fixing these DUI laws.
Right here.
Yeah.
Arizona DUI.
Yeah, I mean,
marijuana
the
DUI.
fact just because I test positive for marijuana metabolites in my system does not mean I'm impaired and I shouldn't be able to drive. Because by the law right now, I wouldn't be able to drive. You wouldn't be able to drive. 99% of our patients wouldn't be able to drive ever.
It's not that we wouldn't, we aren't.
Yeah. And that's ridiculous. As a patient, if I use Oxycontin, which is a highly addictive synthetic heroin,
Completely okay.
it's completely okay.
Yeah, that's fine. 11-year-olds can take it.
Yeah,
right?
you can get loaded on Xanax and go drive around or do whatever you want. That is the catalyst that actually got me into the industry. I don't know if you recall. I was living at home about 6 years ago before I moved out, and I was smoking a bowl of weed in my car because I didn't want to smoke in the house and it was really cold. And I was parked in my driveway and a cop was doing patrol. It was like 2 a.m. Cop was doing patrol, rolling by, hopped out of his car, stuck his flashlight and gun in my face, drugged me out of the car, gave me a Dewey. I had a concealed weapons permit, so then it was driving under the influence of a controlled substance while in possession of a firearm. Big problems. Took me 2 years and a bunch of money. Fought it, lost the case, went to appeal, won. And then I remember the one thing that stuck out in my mind was when the cop was dragging me off to jail. I'm like, what the hell is this really all about? And he's like, look, if you don't like the way the law is written, you can work with your legislative representative to change the law as you see fit for yourself and your community. So I hired a lobbyist and changed the law. But it's like, this is really, I have this article here from Arizona that says that medical marijuana patients do not have immunity from Arizona DUI law. Now, these have been going back and forth in various municipalities and jurisdictions all over the country. But really, it's near and dear to my heart for sure. I also had an incident with Arizona Border Patrol. When I used to go hunting, I was hunting down in Yuma in September and got pulled over by a Border Patrol agent. And drugs and guns, even though I'm a patient, it doesn't matter. Just big problem. So I definitely understand that. Like, I would really like to address that. We tried to briefly address it during session, but it didn't really go anywhere. Once again, there was some confusion within the community about the language that we wanted in the bill, whether we wanted to completely remove their ability to test or whether we wanted to raise the limits. And that it just got off to a real bad start, did not end well, and we ended up getting nothing done.
Well, and also that wasn't what that whole bill was about.
No, we just threw that in at the end trying to get it in.
That bill was really about the DUI laws when it referred to somebody in the car with the engine off, somewhere that they didn't have to drive to, not being able.
That was all about that state
convicting them
legislator
with
getting
DUI.
arrested.
Yeah. So basically, if you're intoxicated, you can sleep it off in your car and not worry about getting a DUI as long as you didn't drive your car to the side of the highway and park on the side of the highway. If you're in the parking lot of the bar or wherever it was you got intoxicated, it's legal now in the state of Nevada to sleep that off in your car.
Well, yeah, there was an assemblyman who got arrested during session, and he's like, "This is bullshit," and had to fix it up. Oh, sorry.
No, you don't have to.
I can say that? Okay, sorry. Yeah, I forgot we're on All-Net Radio now. I can say what I want. I used to have to edit myself there. Sorry about that.
No bleeps on this show.
Yeah, but yeah. Well, there is a lady sitting next to me, too. I don't want to be a dick.
No offense taken.
But yeah, I definitely would like to see the community come out and force about that issue. I mean, I could harp on that all day long. But I'm gonna let that one die right there.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll come up with quite a few others at the meeting tomorrow night. They told us to give them a list of our top 3, so you know what that means. We're gonna give them at least 10.
Absolutely.
Because
when we went to session 13, we had like 15 things we wanted to do. I think we got 10 of them done.
Yeah, we got a majority of what we wanted to get into the bill last time in, and we were very happy about that. And one of the ones that I'm the most proud of on that was getting those fees for your card lowered in half. We need to work on that again too. Not so much the fees being lowered in half, even though they really should be.
What about the timeline? What about same day registration or something?
Yeah.
Man, this is getting ridiculous.
What about every 4 years for a chronic condition, or
Oh, you mean like a driver's license? Or something?
Yeah, something like that. It's like,
well, but see, then
it's chronic. I got 10 years of medical records before I even got my medical card.
Then we got to start the process of which qualifying conditions are going to get in, which ones are excluded. How do we have that certified? Which doctors are going to get allowed to do that? What kind of legislation is that going to, what kind of worms are we going to open up? What box of worms are we going to open if we allow that to happen? We really have to, once again, tread carefully when we attempt to create good in the world. We end up creating trouble sometimes inadvertently due to the language that is contained within. Like one word can change. I mean, all about it. So.
Oh yeah, I know the like as I said the extract law. It should be volatile, plain and simple.
Well,
volatile. No volatile extracts.
Yeah, okay.
Don't blow up the building.
Yeah. Coconut oil, butter, safe. 100% safe. And another reason I'd like to, make my own edibles is because throughout time, I've discovered my strength. You know what I mean? How strong I make my butter, how strong I make my coconut oil, what works the best for me. And I understand we're going to have labeled with the milligrams of THC and this and that. It's still, I've eaten a lot of produced edibles in my time, and they either don't work or they're way too strong, and regardless of what is labeled on them, if they're even labeled. And that's absolutely the worst thing as a patient, to get medicine that doesn't do anything for you, or to get medicine that puts me to the point where I can't function. I mean, I'm not a typical stoner out there, and I know a lot of our patients aren't the typical stoner. We want to be functioning people in society. Unfortunately, a lot of us, our illnesses stopped us. Like with me, I was in such severe spinal cord pain and spasms, I couldn't get off the couch, and I was stuck on the couch in pain and sitting on ice packs and taking painkillers. And then I found out that I could use edibles. Changed my life. But I don't want to be so high that I'm stuck on that couch again. I mean, my whole purpose of using medical cannabis was to get off the couch. And that's how a lot of our patients are. And I know a lot of you out there are like that, because I get a lot of comments and feedback on our website, and
the stereotypes are being broken daily, though. The more people that come out and support a medical cannabis and recreational cannabis, the more socially acceptable it's going to be. I remember the CEO or the founder of Men's Warehouse came out the other day, and he was like, I smoked weed through my whole career, and it never affected me from building $1 billion business. And our last three sitting presidents have all smoked cannabis: Obama, Clinton, and Bush. Admittedly, Jeb Bush has even said, John Kasich, a lot of these politicians who are kind of against it have all admittedly smoked grass. And, Olympic athletes. I could go on and on, but we're breaking the barriers down one at a time. Right. But the show's kind of wrapping up.
We're just about out of time, so let's run through, our list of things to do. First off, we want to thank our wonderful sponsors for allowing us to do this every week. Inyo Fine Cannabis Dispensaries. They have a special that they're running. They got a new grow is coming on online, and it's called Deep Roots, and they're coming out with their version of Grape Stomper, or commonly known as sour grapes, if you go look it up on Leafly. They're running a special 20% off on Sunday. So if you want to go check out Deep Roots Grape Stomper, stop in at Inyo, 2520 South Maryland Parkway, and get 20% off.
Yeah, stop in after church and get your meds.
Also, Nevada Pure. They are open and running right now. Nevada Pure is located at 4380 Boulder Highway. They're open from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. So
great hours.
Yeah. So check them out. They got some good strains there. They got a strain called Slimer, which is also more commonly known in the industry as green crack. You won't find green crack at any of the dispensaries in Nevada because it's not allowed to be advertised that way.
The regulators don't like the name, so we got to change it up.
Exactly. So it's green crack, just like you won't find Girl Scout cookies. It'll be GSC or something like that.
Just cookies.
Or just cookies. So also,
we have to thank Vegas All Net Radio for allowing us to broadcast our message to you weekly. Thank you again.
Yep. And thank you, Jillian, from Evergreen Organics. We look forward to seeing your stuff on the shelves.
No, thank you guys for having us. It was really great to be a part of this.
Absolutely. Well, once again, tomorrow, Nevada Cannabis Advocates Summit, Wednesday, December 2nd, 5:30 to 7:30, Clark County Library, 1401 East Flamingo. And I guess that's about all the time we have. Right. And thank you again, and we'll see you all next week. Yep.